Hey guys, we're two chubby sisters, and welcome back to our channel.
And don't open an umbrella indoors.
Or walk under a ladder.
And if you break a mirror, you're going to have 7 years of bad luck.
If you spill salt, throw it over your left shoulder.
And all of these things are superstitions.
So what is a superstition? A superstition is any belief or practice considered by non-practitioners to be irrational or supernatural, attributed to fate or magic, perceived supernatural influence, or fear of which is unknown.
Alrighty?
So obviously we're talking about superstitions today.
I'm going to go ahead and dive into the more common ones.
Yes.
The first one of which is don't open an umbrella indoors.
This is one that I'm like...
This is one of yours.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm super
I was going to say favorites, but that's not really the right word. That's
it's
one that you
one that
kind
I'm
of
like,
more believe in.
Yeah.
Okay, so it all started in ancient Egypt. Well, one of the two main things that they say where it started was in ancient Egypt, opening an umbrella indoors was disrespectful to the sun god Ra. And so if you opened an umbrella indoors, he would seek vengeance on the entire household. So you didn't open, that became kind of superstition that you never open an umbrella indoors. In Victorian England, they had metal spoked, spring-loaded umbrellas that kind of open really quick.
It's
and so
like more like parasols or something like that.
Well, yeah, but and the reason that they didn't want you because they weren't really well made, and so you could open one and it would, bam, take someone out or break something, or a lot of people got hurt. So it kind of just became a symbol for bad luck. So that's, and to this day, it's still one of the big superstitions, but that's kind of where it came from. Another one is don't walk under a ladder. And again, a lot of these went back to the ancient Egyptians that kind of started a lot of these superstitions. 5,000 years ago, a ladder leaning against a wall formed a triangle. And the ancient Egyptians had their trinity of gods and, like their pyramids. And so that was a sacred shape. And so walking under a ladder that was leaning against a wall was breaking the triangle, and so it was said that you desecrated the gods if you walked under a ladder. Later on, when Christianity started, they leaned a ladder against the crucifix when they crucified Jesus, and so to walk under a ladder was considered wicked. And so it was a symbol of wickedness, betrayal, and death, and it brought misfortune to you. Another one...
It's a lot with the ladder.
There's a lot with the ladder. This is the final one. In England, well, this one kind of isn't so much where it came from. This is kind of...
Where it evolved to?
Yeah, in England in the 1600s, criminals were forced to walk under the ladder on their way to the gallows. Criminals were. And so that's...
So basically a final, bad luck to you.
Yeah, screw you in life and screw you in death.
Yeah.
Okay, so on to broken mirrors.
This is a common one. Most people have heard this one.
Yeah, this is one I feel like is probably the most common
one. Yeah.
The Greeks believed that your reflection in a pool of water revealed your soul. And then the Romans, later on, they were the first ones to manufacture mirrors. Okay, I can speak, I promise. They were the first ones to manufacture mirrors. They polished metal. They could figure out they could polish metal to the point where it would be reflective, and so they thought that any mirrored surface, the gods were observing you through it, and so if you messed up any of these metal mirrors, it would bring you bad luck. And then later on, in the 1st century, I believe, in the 3rd century. Mirrors began being made out of glass, and so it was much easier to break a mirror at that point. So when they believed that when you broke these mirrors, it brought bad luck on your household, or
because you broke what the gods were seeing.
Because you broke, and it was also a window to your soul. But the reason that the 7 years of bad luck came is because they believed that every 7 years your body was renewed. So after 7 years, then you were no longer the same person, and so that bad luck was gone. And a couple of these we'll get into ways to get rid of your bad luck if you have it. They thought that if you ground up the pieces of the mirror into dust and threw it into the wind, that would get rid of your bad luck. Or you could take a piece of the broken mirror and take it to a graveyard and touch it to a tombstone.
Isn't there, there's also, I think, some believe that it all depends on, some believe that it's on the person, and some believe that
It's on the place
of where you break the mirror. So, like, let's say you break it in your house, that means your house is cursed for 7 years versus you as a person. And then others believe that it's you because it's this view to your soul.
You broke a mirror, you're moving out. Not my
My
problem.
problem is that whoever buys the house next. Yeah.
Okay, here's another that of the most common ones is
It was
spilled
common
salt.
in our household.
This is one that we definitely grew up with, was spilled salt.
Yeah.
You know, you spill salt, you throw it over your shoulder because otherwise you're going to have bad luck.
Your left shoulder.
In 3500 BC, the ancient Sumerians would nullify bad luck. And this wasn't just spilled salt, this was just luck in general, by throwing a pinch of salt over their shoulder. Also, according to other legends, the devil stands behind your left shoulder. So if you took salt, if you spilled salt, you would put it in your right hand and throw it over your left shoulder because you were throwing it in the devil's face, because when you spilled the salt, you were summoning him and summoning bad luck on yourself. So by doing that, throwing salt in his face, you were getting rid of the bad luck. But that one was actually pretty simple. That was the only, but I feel like as simple as it was, that was probably one of the most common ones. One that most people don't think about is saying God bless you after somebody sneezes. In the 6th century, under Pope Gregory the Great, there was a horrible, terrible pestilence, and one of the first symptoms of you were getting really sick was chronic, horrible sneezing. And after the sneezing started, you would die pretty quickly after that, that's horrible.
Yeah.
But so they thought you didn't have much time to say like prayers for people. So he ordered that if you knew somebody who was showing these first symptoms, you needed to say an urgent prayer, which is just God bless you. And so like if you heard somebody sneezing, you would say God bless you. And the one that I didn't know was that if you were alone, you were supposed to, and you were having sneezing episodes, you were supposed to say God help me as a small prayer.
Because always automatically when you hear someone sneeze, you always like, oh, bless you.
Bless you.
Whatever.
Bless you,
but I didn't know that you say, oh, like, I never thought about it because you're alone, so who's going to say it to you?
Other ones that kind of go along with the whole God bless you thing is that a lot of people believe, which I don't know actually if this one is true or not, but they say that your heart stops for a beat when you sneeze. And so you say, God bless you. People would say God bless you to you because it brought you back from the dead. Also, another one was that sneezing, a lot of people believe that sneezing would accidentally let your soul escape.
Like it was like your soul was escaping.
Like when you sneeze, it was like forcing your soul out. So they would say God bless you to force your soul back into your body.
Yeah.
And one of the other ones is black cats, which is a big form of superstition for a lot of people. A lot of people I don't really feel like...
Yeah.
This one was more in medieval England, and it kind of got brought over here with the Pilgrims, and they brought it to us, was black cats. In ancient Egypt, all cats were revered, and especially black cats. They thought if a black cat crossed your path, they thought that the ancient Egyptians thought that it brought you good luck. And it wasn't until, like I was saying, in the Middle Ages in England and part of Europe and parts of England that they believed that black cats were familiars or companions to witches, and or they were witches in disguise themselves. And so if a black cat crossed your path, it was a sign, it was a bad luck sign and a sign that the devil was watching you. And so that's where that one came from. I feel like that one might be a little more common knowledge. A lot of people kind of...
Yeah, and I feel like too now, like, Halloween time capitalizes on this one.
Yeah.
Like, they use it a lot as like
because I feel like that is a lot of black cats are associated with witches and witchcraft and all that. And the final one that I'm going to talk about is the number 13. Triskaidekaphobia. I probably totally butchered that. But it is the fear of the number 13. The number 13 has bad luck dating back way back. Norse mythology was talking about that there was a big dinner party in Valhalla, and all the gods were there, Thor, all of those, and Odin and all them. And there was 12 people, and then Loki shows up.
Loki.
So if you're a Marvel fan, you know who Loki is. But Loki shows up, and that makes it the 13th guest, and he's basically all heck breaks loose, and he and one of their brothers ends up getting killed in the process, and so 13 becomes a bad number after that. Another one is that Judas Iscariot was the 13th person to show up, the 13th and the last person to show up to the Last Supper. And anybody who knows their Christian religion knows that he's the one that betrayed Jesus and ended up getting Jesus crucified. Friday the 13th became a bad thing. In 1307, the Knights Templar were ordered to be arrested by the king, and they were almost nearly all of them were tortured and ended up dead. And it's considered the bloodiest day in all of history. And so ever since then, Friday the 13th is considered a bad luck day, and you're supposed to take certain precautions to keep yourself safe.
Well, wasn't it too that because 13 is an unlucky number, and then Fridays was execution days, wasn't it?
Yeah, Fridays was always execution days in the Middle Ages. So Friday the 13th just kind of went hand in hand.
Yeah. And of course, commonly now we know it as the movies too.
That's more of a it's
but
become more of that, and there's there's all kinds of
13 always comes up. And if you notice, with the number 13, it's always bad luck. And even on airplanes and hotels, they never do a 13th seat or row in a plane, or hotels never have a 13th floor and stuff like that, because they just consider it bad luck. And
so people, it's funny to me that these big professional multi-million-dollar buildings are superstitious about the number 13.
Those are the most common ones. I'm sure most of you probably have heard those before, because a lot of those were ones that we grew up listening to, or especially the Salt and the God Bless You and whatnot. Some couple uncommon ones, or some let's mention the broom first. Okay, so for us, the broom one is one that we grew up hearing about because our mom always said it, and she always said it. My grandma said it. Our grandmother was a very superstitious person, apparently. My mom talks about all the superstitions that she used to talk about. And actually, this one is in the movie Practical Magic, which you probably, if you've seen that movie, is if a broom falls, it means company's coming. And there's a lot of different superstitions with brooms, but that was a common one that we heard. But there's also a lot of uncommon ones that I didn't know about that I'm actually going to go into now. And a lot of it has to do with where you're from, too. Every country has, their own little superstitions. One was kind of interesting was in Lithuania. It's forbidden to, most people forbidden you to whistle inside, because they said the noise is believed to summon demons. So people over there, don't like to whistle inside, because...
How many times have I whistled indoors?
I know. Maybe there's demons in my house now. Don't cheers with water. This is a common one, I guess, in German. The German superstition is that if you cheers with water, you're wishing death upon the people that you're dying with. So if you're first sit down,
dark.
Oh, here we all have our water. Let's cheers. And they said it stems from Greek mythology, which I think a lot of these superstitions stem from different mythology and stuff like that. But yeah, so it's basically if you cheers with water, you're wishing death upon the people that you're cheering with.
Like I said, that's dark.
Yeah. Gifting sharp objects. They said gifting anything with a blade that it supposedly is a way to sever relationships. So they say it's bad luck to gift knife sets, scissors, or anything like that. But if you do, you're the person that is gifted. If you're the one that was gifted it, you're supposed to give them a coin. So basically, it's oh, I'm paying for it. I'm not actually being gifted it, so it doesn't sever the relationship. So that's a superstition. I'm not sure exactly where that one comes from, but it's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's different.
Another one comes from the Netherlands. Singing at the dinner table is bad luck because you're singing to the devil for your food. So that's what they believe. And then a lot of there's in Japan and China, there's a lot of superstitions around chopsticks. One of them is and we've heard of this one before, is you don't want to stick your chopsticks in a bowl of rice.
I think our friend Andrea actually told us about this one
when we went to Japan. And I read more about it, and basically because they say it looks like the incense from like that they light for family memorials or what they light at funerals and everything. So it's like basically like a death omen if you stick your chopsticks in your rice. And then too, there's like a lot of different ones about your chopsticks being uneven. One of them is like, you know how you get like from like when you order Chinese food and you get the wooden ones that you get to pull apart. If they come uneven, it means a sign of unrequited love.
Unrequited?
Yeah. And then also too, they say uneven chopsticks like at your dinner table means that you're gonna miss a plane or a boat or some like type of transportation that you're like, if you're getting ready to go on a trip and you sit down. Yeah, it's weird. Like that's one of the ones that like that I read. And then another one, this one I think is kind of interesting. So like in Japan, apparently if you walk by like a cemetery or something, you're supposed to like tuck your thumbs in. And the reason why they do that is because when you're passing by the cemetery, the Japanese word for thumb basically translates to parent finger. So basically, it's to protect your parents from death. So if you're going by a cemetery, you're supposed to tuck your thumbs in to protect your parents from death. Which
the more common superstition about graveyards is to hold your breath when you go by a cemetery.
That's like one that I think more than we have here. But yeah, so they tuck their thumbs in because the translation of thumbs in is called parent finger. So another thing that I'm going to get into is one of the most superstitious things is the theater. Like people in theater, stage theater, like stage plays, stage productions, are the most superstitious people and they have the most superstitions. And there's no way that we could ever go through all of them.
There's so many.
And because when I was looking at it, it was just like on and on and on. And they have so many little things.
You just give more.
So I'm kind of like going through a little bit of them. The most common one that we probably have heard of is the saying of break a leg, which is basically their form of saying good luck.
Because you don't.
And basically is because they say like saying good luck actually like does the opposite. Like they're worried that it's gonna like do the opposite. So if you're saying, well, break a leg, that means you're gonna do great because it's the opposite. So that's kind of like there's a lot of different.
But they say you don't say good luck.
You do not say good luck. Yeah, there's a lot of different things around the whole break a leg thing because there was like when I looked up there was like 10 different actual like reasons for saying it and everything and but this is like the funny that they have an antidote for some of their stuff too, which is a little weird. But anyways, break a leg, Shakespeare in the Shakespearean I guess time or whatever his break meant to bend. And so like when they always say break a leg to you during that time because it meant if you were bending a lot, it means you were doing a lot of bows, which means you were getting a lot of applause for your performance and that you did a good performance because you had to do a lot of bows. And so that was like it's like the Shakespearean time, that was what kind of where that one came from. So another one is to don't say Macbeth. I don't know if you guys have ever heard the play Macbeth, but you never say the name Macbeth in a theater. A lot of the theories for this, when, why, and where, are kind of like, I don't know. There's a lot of different theories of why. Mm-hmm. But the most common one that they refer to it is they say the Scottish play instead of saying Macbeth. And because actually during when Macbeth came out, a lot of the people died that were in the plays, that were involved in the plays. And they think it's because some of the plays fictional incantations, like the double toil and trouble came from Macbeth, which I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, have you guys ever heard double toil and trouble? Cauldron burn and
yeah,
something.
So
that
actually came from Macbeth, and they thought they were authentic examples of witchcraft, and that's why the people died, and that like basically is basically you're saying like these cantations out loud if you say the word Macbeth.
So you were using real witchcraft.
You were using witchcraft. So that's why in theater till today they don't like to say that. So the antidote for this is funny. You exit the theater, you spin 3 times, you spit, and then you utter a Shakespearean insult or equal vulgar
curse word
profanity.
Yeah, because that doesn't sound like witchcraft.
Yeah. So don't ever, if you're ever going to see a play or anything, don't say Macbeth because you may, theater person may just.
Real quick, going back to the brick-a-leg thing. Another one of the brick-a-leg. The reason that they say, because there really is so many different reasons why they say that you say break a leg. One of them that I had read was that you say break a leg because you want, if for an audition, when somebody's going to audition for a play, is because you want them to get in the cast. Break a leg, cast.
Oh, and then too, there's also, they said that that the hope the actor would have so many curtain calls that their trousers would be permanently creased. So that's why you say break a leg too. It's like, these are like, yeah. There's a lot, as I said, there's a lot about it. Also, another one was a bad dress rehearsal is a good opening night. The origin of that one is just unclear, but a lot of them say, some people think it's just a way of the producers or the directors of a play to encourage their
so they don't feel bad.
So like if they have a bad rehearsal, oh, that means good, that's a good sign that they're going to have a good opening night. Another one that was really weird. Okay, so no peacock feathers, no mirrors, and no real money or jewelry are to be used in plays or on set. They consider these all bad luck objects, and they banned them from some plays and places because they considered them bad. And basically, are said to. They said that these items cause people to forget their lines. The broken set pieces were caused because of these items, and there was a lot of performance disasters. And the peacock feather is because of the eye of like the peacock. They call it the evil eye, and they said that it cursed the play, so you were not allowed to have anything with peacock feathers. Mirrors, which this one I kind of understand. They consider it bad luck because it interferes with the lighting. Which there's so much lighting on a stage, and if you have a mirror reflect of someone, I could see how problems and disasters can happen.
And back in the day, that's how they did lighting, though. A lot of times they would
with mirrors, and also for like real money or jewelry, you weren't allowed to have that on stage because basically they said prevent prop table thievery. So like basically,
y'all got some sticky fingers
and that's why. Okay, another one. This one is like interesting. No whistling. So they don't want anyone whistling on stage, and it's considered a bad omen. Now it doesn't matter because it's like obviously with productions they're a lot more advanced in technology, savvy, whatever. So back in the day they used to use sailors to run all the like all the hoists and everything for like curtains and everything like that because
the lighting
they knew how to maintain all that stuff because they did it on their sailboats. And a way for sailors to communicate with each other and what to do and which ones to pull was they whistled during different whistles to each other. And so if you were an actor walking on stage or backstage and you whistled, they were that the sailors would hear you, and if it's the wrong call, they could drop like some of them a sandbag or a light or something on these actors' heads. And so they considered it like a bad omen, like you don't want to do it because you don't want to have anything falling on your head. Mm-hmm. Another one is flowers. Obviously, it's a common thing when like at plays you bring people flowers. Most actors will not accept flowers or don't want you to bring them flowers before the performance. It's always given after the performance. They say it causes a lackluster of show. Basically, it's like a superstition for them.
A superstition.
Yeah, It's a superstition. So actors don't like giving their flowers before. They always give it to them after. This one I kind of heard of. It's called a ghost light. All theaters have a ghost light, and what that is like it's one light that's left on the stage all the time. It never gets turned off. When the theater's closed down, that light stays on. It's a guide for the first and last person in and out of the theater. And it's a protection from what they consider spirits, or protection from ghosts. If left dark, lonely, and resentful, ghosts would realize everyone had left and proceed to cause mischief, is what they believed. So all theaters always have one light left on.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So those are kind of like interesting. Mm-hmm. Those are all like theaters. We could go on about superstitions because there's so many.
And maybe we'll make a part 2.
We might make a part 2. What we didn't talk about is the penny. Have you guys ever see a penny, pick it up all day long, you have your luck? Or you'll see the one where it's only pick on ones that are heads up, and if their tail's down, flip it over because the next person could have good luck. But yeah.
And, and maybe if we do a part 2, we'll do kind of how symbols of luck tie into superstitions and, like, the 4-leaf clover and the horseshoe. And maybe we'll go into even Irish superstitions because there's a lot of those, too. But, I hope you guys found this interesting.
We probably will do a part 2 of this because there's so much more that we could dive into with it.
And I think, too, just like we have said in the past, like, there was a lot that we knew, but there was a lot that we didn't know that we found out in our research, and hopefully you learned something interesting. And
and I am superstitious.
She freaks out if you try to open an umbrella inside.
I don't know why it is. It gives me anxiety when someone opens an umbrella inside. Like, I'm just like, no, don't do it. And I think, like I said before, the salt one, we've
done that our whole lives.
Yeah, and I don't know if maybe it's just because we were taught it our whole lives. Our mother was superstitious, and then our grandmother was superstitious, and everything. But like the salt, the umbrella, the ladder, those are all common ones, and those are very common ones that we've.
And I feel like a lot of these, like I kind of mentioned that, like I feel like most of them either go back to the ancient Egyptians, the Greeks, or just are deeply rooted in Christianity. Like there's so many that.
And one that we might do in the part, if we do a part 2 of this, is the Irish. We've done a lot of obvious stuff on Irish. The Irish are very superstitious people, and we kind of learned through that through some of our research and stuff like that too. And it's maybe that explains why we're somewhat superstitious.
Yeah, because we're half Irish.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know, but it's something that we probably will dive more into later in another one and everything. So I hope you guys found this interesting. Or if you have any superstitions that we didn't talk about, or we may not know,
leave them in the comments.
Leave in the comments. Let us know.
You can either tell us what they are, or just
kind of give us a brief. Maybe we'll research it. Yeah, and everything like that. So remember to like,
subscribe,
and hit that bell
so you know when we post.
All right.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.